The news is talking about the massacre in the spa just as Bruce walked in the room to tell Eileen about Sleepy Chen being dead. Bloodboots also tells that Charles told them to go when they tried to help him. They don't know who the true enemy is. Sleepy Chen knew, but Bruce's Mandarin is terrible, and he didn't know what Sleepy said. Bruce only remembers the last thing he said, LOL, or something. He isn't sure. Eileen tells Bruce to go to school, but he wants to go look for his brother instead. Charles wakes up dazed and bloodied in an apartment he doesn't recognize. He hears something and pulls out a knife, but it was just Alexis. It was her that picked him up at the spa. She gets him to sit down, and he wants to go, but he's too hurt. She tells him someone attacked her back at the parking lot, but she got away using spicy Korean chips. She cooks him food, and he asks her to go get his phone from the spa. Her cooking is terrible. He asks why she didn't turn him in. She did it because they're friends, and the Red Ribbons would definitely kill him if he was locked up. Bruce is in class with Xing, and he's worried about TK and Charles. Xing then realizes that Sleepy Chen wasn't saying LOL, he was saying Luo Luo, meaning Rolodex, Eileen's nickname. The Red Ribbons want to get to her. Eileen walks into a clothes market and heads for the back room. She meets with Lao Hong. He tries to sell her on a vacation trip and even guns. She only wants information. He tells her that the Red Ribbons came to him and told him to tell them if Eileen came snooping around, and he sold her out. They are behind her with guns. He sold her out. Alexis is at the spa. That's now a crime scene. She go into the evidence truck to look for Charles's phone. She quickly puts it in her pocket. Bruce is worried that his mom hasn't answered his texts yet. Xing just tells him to not worry about it. And then they run into Grace, and she gets that his mom isn't answering his texts. But then there's Tyler, walking over like he wants to kill Bruce. Grace distracts Tyler, and Bruce walks away with Xing. Charles is watching TV on the couch, and is bored to be all alone in the apartment, so he snoops around in Alexis's boxes and unpacks everything. Eileen is at the hideout of the Red Ribbons. They know how important she is because she knows everything about the triad, including all the dragon heads. Steve sits in front of her. He asks her to give him the names of every triad in the world. They figured out a few, and they want her to fill out the rest, and they'll let her go once she does. But she scoffs at him. They only found her because she wanted them too. She knew Wong would betray her and lead her to them. She is too smart for these boys. She tells him she's here to negotiate and to get her better tea. Charles is baking peacefully while watching that baking show on TV. Alexis walks into this almost new-looking apartment. She tries one and loves it. Charles gets his phone, but it's dead. Also, the FBI are handling the investigation because Sleepy Chen is such a high-level player. But they got that information too quickly, and Charles thinks someone tipped them off. She also got him a shirt on her way home. Fun. The aunties are engaged in a serious game of mahjong. Bruce then walks in with Xing and flirts with the women. He asks them where he could find Eileen, and they discuss for a bit and figure out she was at Hong's shop. They finally get Eileen better tea, so now the negotiations can begin. She tells Steve that he can have Sleepy Chen's operations in LA, and she will take over the operations in Taiwan. But Steve doesn't want any of her money because they're the boxers, but she has no idea what that is. Charles and Alexis are having a conversation when the timer goes off. He tells her about starting baking at 16 and that it's his happy place. But the moment changes and they share a kiss and things get heated. Bruce and Xing are in the market and ask Hong where Eileen is, and Bruce gets mad and stabs him in the hand, so Hong tells them she left for a meeting, but he doesn't want to tell them with who. So naturally, Xing stabs his other hand, and he tells them she's probably already dead. Bloodboots calls and tells them he's been following Eileen this whole time. He tells them she left with the Red Ribbon guys to an abandoned building, so he packs his shotgun and goes to scout the building, and Bruce takes Xing to find bigger guns. Steve is still trying to intimidate Eileen, but she is not breaking at all. They can't kill her because her information is too valuable, but they can kill Bloodboots that they caught snooping around. She can't give them what they want, and Bloodboots understands this, so Steve shoots him in the head. Steve is frustrated and threatens her sons next. Steve was just about to shoot her in the leg when Bruce just simply walks in the door with all the aunties from Mahjong, and they just walk out with Eileen. Charles and Alexis are in bed together until Interpol calls and she gets up. Charles charges his phone when she tells him about 3 murders that went on with suspicious cases. He thinks they were all triad bosses. She asks to work together, but Charles doesn't work with cops. So they have a fight and he leaves her apartment. But he was right. She was only using him to get more information and tapped his phone. Bruce is looking for his mom and finds her drinking. But Charles walks in and she hugs him tight. She tells him about Blood Boots and these people that call themselves the Boxers. She doesn't know what they want, but confirms that they were the ones that killed the Triad bosses. She then whispers something into his ear. They sit at the table and tell Bruce about how the Rolodex is a collection of names and secrets of every Triad boss, allowing the family to operate without being challenged. And to keep Bruce safe, Eileen gives him the Rolodex, which is the information she has memorized. She gives the paper to him because he has a photographic memory. She also tells him to give the secrets up if the Boxers come for him. Eileen is making something as Xing eats, and Charles looks at videos online. Eileen tests Bruce on the information, and he remembers everything. So she tells him now he has to go into hiding because the other Triads will come to kill him for the information. Charles and Bruce are in the car, and they talk about Blood Boots, and Charles tells Bruce to ignore the feelings and just focus on the tasks. Bruce noticed how different Charles has been acting since he got back from Alexis, like he's been hurt. Eileen is on a plane to Taiwan. She gets out of the airport and grabs a cab and makes her way into the city. She has missed her home. The boys drive into a fancy house. It's John Cho's house, and June uses it as a safe house when he's out filming movies. And while they're here, might as well have some fun. So that's exactly what Bruce does. Drinking and taking pictures. Bruce and Charles talk about TK, and he's probably going to be fine. That's when Bruce figures out that Charles was with a girl this whole time. Bruce also gets a text from Grace, so he just walks away. Eileen is in Taiwan praying and then goes shopping around the city giving gifts to the other Triad bosses. Back at the house, Bruce and Charles are in the kitchen and Charles is baking again. Everyone has a taste and they all love it. Bruce asks them if Grace can come over, but Xing is very worried about keeping the place secret and not bringing in anyone that isn't necessary. But Grace comes by and they have lots of fun with Bruce. The cops are outside watching the house. Alexis is there in the control room monitoring everything, while everyone is inside having fun, playing games and singing karaoke. Grace and Bruce are lounging by the beach together talking. She tells him a sad story about how her parents were forced to work at restaurants for free by gangs. Eileen goes to the last house on her list. It's her mother. They sit on the couch after eating and look at old photo albums. She tells her mother that she tried to tell her husband to not make so many enemies, but he didn't listen, so she had to leave to protect her children. Mom tells Eileen she enjoys the power and games too much, and that's why she can't stay away from the gang business. She abandoned her family in Taiwan to move to America. She didn't even come back to bury her sister, but Eileen didn't know, so she goes to the grave to pay her respect. Charles was watching TV, and Bruce walked in asking about life in Taiwan and the pranks they pulled when they were young. But when Charles said he killed a man at 14, the mood changed. He remembers how he used a chair leg to take down a man that was going to kill his parents. He tells Bruce there is nothing he can change after that he became a killer and protector of his family. He then asks Bruce how he's doing with the death of Blood Boots. They found TK and Charles is going to get him. Charles gets in the car and drives away. The cops in the car are dead. It was the Red Ribbons. Grace then suddenly asks Bruce to come with her to the volunteer center, and she convinces him to come with her. They get there, where they help with lots of immigrants. But Bruce noticed all the red ribbons on everyone's wrists. She's part of the gang, and they surround Bruce. They walk into an office, and Bruce tries to break a chair, and it all ends with everyone laughing at him. Grace then tells him there is a bigger plan he needs to hear before making these judgments. They get into another room, and she tells him about the Boxers being a faceless organization created to fight the Triad to protect everyone else. The only way is to kill the heads of the Triad, and only Eileen knows who they are. Bruce says he won't help murderers, but he comes from a family of murderers too. She also told him that her father was killed for asking for freedom. She makes a great case, and Bruce is conflicted about this, but he asks her to spare his family if he tells her what she needs. But she doesn't want to spare Charlie. He convinces her by saying he has the information, so she accepts the deal. Charles calls Alexis and everyone sees it. She answers and he talks about their relationship, but she denies it and hangs up. This pisses off Charles, and he lets it all out on the guys torturing TK, beating up every single one of them. He chases one guy upstairs and fights the rest of them in a fit of rage, but he lets one guy go. He eventually unties TK from his chair. At a club, a band is playing music, while Eileen is sitting at the bar. She dances with the singer. And when she got back in the car, she called Yuan and told him she wanted to see her husband. At the hospital, Big Sun is laying still, and she seems nervous. She puts a needle in his fingernail, but he doesn't respond. She is very upset with him not telling her about her sister, so she will take his whale empire from him, and she walks out. But Big Sun isn't in a coma, he's pissed. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.